It's confirmed NASCAR July 1st and 2nd of 2023 will be in downtown Chicago. For the first time ever, the NASCAR Cup Series will race on the streets of Chicago, and it's got a lot of people talking. Let's go over everything that took place with this announcement. Now, an announcement was made earlier today with Ben Kennedy, Bubba Wallace, and the mayor of Chicago, basically confirming the announcement that NASCAR will be racing in Chicago next year. And there is a lot of good, but also some very concerning things about this event. Let's first start off with the bad things. Number one, the fact that this racetrack will be replacing Road America. After 2 years, Road America is no longer going to be in the Cup Series, and I, for one, am very disappointed in this decision. Very rare do we see NASCAR races hold over 100,000 plus fans, and in both races, people in Wisconsin, they showed up. They showed up to support the track, to support NASCAR. And again, I stated this in both of my previous Chicago Road America videos. To ditch them off to the side like this, I'm not a fan of. It doesn't feel right. I felt like if Chicago were to replace Kansas, Phoenix, Vegas, or a racetrack, Texas, a track that has 2 dates, I would have been okay with. But to replace Road America, I have an issue with. But that is Road America. We have to put that to the side. Let's focus on Chicago and the street course, not Chicagoland, on the street course. One of the issues that I saw people bring up is that many people feel like that Chicago is not a good place for NASCAR, that Chicagoland or Chicago and NASCAR don't mix. I 100% disagree with that statement. I think that is ridiculous. Here's the reason why. Race fans are all over the world. Even in areas you may not think there'd be any race fans, there are race fans all over the world. I look at Los Angeles as a perfect example. NASCAR and Los Angeles are as far apart from each other on the spectrum. And the fact that still we had a near sellout crowd at Los Angeles, over 4 million people tuned in, and I think in LA it was the highest market in years. I think even about a decade it was that LA had a huge racing market that what we saw in the Clash back in February. And if you really want to get real historical, again, NASCAR has always been perceived as a southern sport, and the fact that we have now reached a point where we can race in events like in the West Coast, like in Las Vegas, like in Phoenix, like in Fontana, which is in California, and other areas outside the Southeast. Many people thought back then that there's no market for that, but there clearly is. And I think Chicago is no different. Yeah, it's something different in downtown Chicago instead of in Joliet, Illinois. But to say that NASCAR in Chicago just won't work there because there's, not a market for it is ridiculous. I trust that NASCAR are going to go all out. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure that this event is a success. From promotions to commercials, advertising, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that this event is a success. And again, look at what they did with Los Angeles. They took a concept which none of us thought was possible, racing in a football stadium in Los Angeles. A lot of us thought it would be a failure, and it ended up being a success. And it's in a market, like I said, in Los Angeles that you would not think would even care about NASCAR. And again, it worked. Why can't it work in Chicagoland? I would argue that Chicago has a closer connection to NASCAR than LA because you got Chicagoland Speedway. It's an hour away, but still, it's within range. I mean, look at how NASCAR is preparing for Chicago. I mean, it is unlike NASCAR, what you see at a NASCAR race. And in fact, they're F1ifying it, if that makes sense. I mean, they're having start-finish line suites with premium food beverages, private suite entrances, air conditioning, fully furnished, flat panel TV so they can watch the race, Wi-Fi, and then you have a front stretch cabana suite, that allows you to look at the access close on pit road. The guests at the race will have unobstructed views of pit road and the front straightaway as they head into turn number 1 or come around the final turn to the green flag finish. They provide a first-class experience again, and it really is, like I said, just unlike NASCAR. Again, another area with a pit road paddock club, ultra premium club spacing and comfortable furniture, all inclusive premium foods and all this stuff, A-list concerts and everything. This is unlike what you see at a typical NASCAR event, and it shows that NASCAR is doing everything to make sure that this event can live up to the standards as they are building it up to be. Now, it's not going to be just a standalone Cup Series race on July 1st. There will be an IMSA endurance race that'll take place the day prior on July 1st. So you'll have at least more than one race at your disposal, which I do like. I think it's a good idea to fill up the racing weekend with as many as on-track activities as possible. This also works in terms terms of two things. Number one, NASCAR driving at big TV numbers. Having a stock car race on a street course in a big city like Chicago is definitely going to drive up some interest. Whether you like the layout or the event or not, is going to drive a lot of attention. And with it being on July 1st, July 2nd race weekend, more than likely it would be the first race of NBC's coverage of NASCAR. And you know NBC are going to do also everything in their power to promote this event. One thing I want to point out is the fact that many people believe that, you know, when NASCAR going to Chicagoland is like a pity way of getting a street course compared to Formula One having a race on the streets of Las Vegas and in Miami, that NASCAR is just playing second fiddle. They're just trying to find a street course in a big city. But Chicago is a very, very popular city. In fact, when you take a look at the most popular cities in the US, Chicago ranks number 3. And it's one of the most popular cities in terms of tourism in the United States. So it's extremely popular both within the country and around the world. And on top of that, you also have a little bit of NASCAR connection through Michael Jordan, him owning 2311 Racing, and Michael Jordan basically being Chicago's version of a sports god in that city. You have that little bit of connection that could bring him some hardcore Michael Jordan fans to see what Michael Jordan's team looks like in person. So we know it's going to be a big city in terms of the amount of people that are in the city of Chicago. And we also know that when you race in downtown, you're always going to bring in a younger audience, which is what NASCAR is trying to chase. And like I said, with it being a street course, is going to drive up big TV numbers, which will look good on NASCAR's side, especially with them wanting to renegotiate their TV deal with Fox, NBC, or whoever when it comes to an end at the end of the 2024 season. I've said this before. I love that NASCAR is being bold and innovative, or this new era of NASCAR being bold and innovative by going to new markets, trying out different things to spice up the sport. I love that. And again, I think NASCAR in Chicago is a perfect backdrop. But yeah, personally, I think this is a great idea. It's very bold and innovative, completely new and foreign for NASCAR. And I like that they're trying out new different things to spice up the series. And when you really look at it, NASCAR probably has one of, if not the most diverse schedule out there. They race on short tracks, super speedways, odd 1 mile racetracks, or 1.3 mile egg-shaped ovals like Darlington, on road courses, on dirt tracks, and now on a street course. It offers a very unique perspective on what stock car racing could be. And I think, once again, I want to point this up, this should be the only street course. I don't want to see another street course like in Vegas or in Miami. This should be the only street course. Make it special, you know, just keep it at this one facility. I know that NASCAR is going to go all out to try and make this event as big as it can be. I think NASCAR in Chicago just is actually a good relationship, because I think the people of Chicago, especially sports fans of Chicago, are going to come out just to see what it's like, because it's completely foreign. You know, people in Chicago are used to stick and ball sports of basketball, baseball, football. They're not used to anything involving cars. So I think that coming in kind of resembling similar to Los Angeles. They're used to stick and ball sports. And here you bring in an auto racing event completely different to what the people of LA and now the people of Chicago are used to. There's a bit of intrigue to this event, a bit of curiosity. And I think that is why it's going to be a really, really big event when the time comes around on July next year. Now, many people argue, well, the racing layout itself is going to be pretty dull. And I mean, I don't blame you on that. I do think that the race layout that we see may not produce exciting racing, but I then also argue to bring up this fact that a lot of times the racing doesn't even matter. We've seen street racing not be the most exciting on any racing series, IndyCar, NASCAR, or F1, but still, the people show up. I mean, Miami is a perfect example. Miami, the racing was pretty meh at best, but still sold out. People didn't really care. The event itself was just a spectacle to begin with, that the racing didn't really matter whether it was good or not. Now, there are also other factors as to why so many people showed up to Miami, but the fact of the matter is it wasn't the racing that got them in. It was the people and the event around the racing. Going to a street course, especially in a big city like Chicago, opens up a whole new way of how you promote and approach a NASCAR event. Because when you look at a lot of the racetracks that we go to, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Again, Chicagoland. As much as I would love to see NASCAR go back to Chicagoland, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in Joliet, Illinois, about an hour and a half away. You look at some of the other racetracks, they're out there in the middle of nowhere. I mean, hey, even think about it. We can look at F1, for example. The reason I'm bringing up F1 is that F1 has had racetracks in the middle of nowhere. As popular as F1 is globally, worldwide, they've had racetracks like in India, in South Korea, that are in the middle of nowhere, yet attendance was very low and they stopped racing there after a few years. So it's not uncommon What are F1s doing nowadays? They're going to more street courses. Again, Las Vegas and Miami is in the middle of the city. Okay, maybe not much Miami, but still, it's in a very populated area. NASCAR doing this in Chicagoland is nothing foreign. So I don't know, I don't understand the issues with NASCAR doing something like this. It's not nothing new. You know, NASCAR is going to a market that they have no experience in, but they have shown in the past, like Los Angeles, that they can come into an extremely foreign market, make it a big event, get people talking, and have it be a success. You can see the issue with it removing Road America. And again, I'm not a fan of that, but to say that this race is, or NASCAR trying this out, is stupid or dumb or just makes no sense is completely asinine in my opinion. The attendance at Chicagoland has been getting worse and worse for years now. So the fact that a dwindling attendance at Chicagoland, it's out in the middle of nowhere, here's a chance to spice things up and to try something new. So again, when it comes to racing on the streets of Chicago, I love the idea for it. I like that they're trying something new. The actual racing itself will be up for debate later on in another episode. But again, those are a lot of the good things that I see what NASCAR is doing with racing in downtown Chicago. Bringing a new audience, it's going to drive up TV numbers, it's going to really bring NASCAR to a whole new market that they're not used to. And it can be really good for the sport. The only issue I do have with NASCAR in Chicago is not much to do with the racing itself, but for the future. Los Angeles and Chicagoland are complete outliers for what NASCAR is traditionally going to be. When you look at Los Angeles and with Chicago street course coming out, NASCAR, they're going to try to make this event as big as possible. We saw in LA, at least from what I saw from pictures and videos, they did things and how they basically promoted this event and the stuff that they added around the LA Coliseum. They did things that you don't normally see at a traditional NASCAR race. When you look at traditional NASCAR races, a lot of the tracks aren't up to date. Cell service is still impossible, or at least very difficult, which in 2022 shouldn't be a problem. The broadcasting of, specifically with Fox mainly, perceives NASCAR as a bit of a joke. NASCAR doesn't have an infrastructure or doesn't have basically the capability. They're not ready yet to be able to grab onto that younger audience and keep them there. F1 does. They have a video game, even though it's owned by EA. It's a lot better than NASCAR's Ignition video game. They have Drive to Survive. How they perceive broadcast. They make it, you know, so it's a very serious event. How they build up their race events at the track itself. A lot of events. It makes it feel like a Super Bowl almost when you go to an F1 race. So many things that F1 has in terms of its infrastructure that they can fall back on. So, hey, maybe the race might not be so interesting, but we have so many things in the background. F1 TV Pro, all these other things that younger audience, when they go to Miami or LA, they may know nothing about F1, but they have all this stuff that can make them long-time fans. NASCAR doesn't have that. So I think it's great idea, you know, a great idea for NASCAR to try out. Wrong timing. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this, and this could lead into a whole new wave, a new generation of younger NASCAR fans in the streets in the city of Chicago to become diehard fans of NASCAR racing. I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's the issue I have. It's less about the race day itself, because I do believe it's going to be a success. I think it's going to sell out. It's going to be a big crowd. I think all of Chicago is going to be talking about NASCAR. But I do fear that when NASCAR is done in Chicago, when they stop racing in Chicago on Sunday, how will it translate to next week or the season after that? Are they still going to be there? Or is it kind of going to be like, hey, we show up, we saw the race, cool, let's not care about NASCAR again until they come back? You know, are they going to be that casual fan base, or are they going to be a diehard fan? And I don't think that NASCAR has the infrastructure to be able to convince that younger audience that they're chasing, because that's why they're going to be in Chicago, is to chase that younger audience, to grab a whole new, younger, more diverse demographic. I don't think they have the infrastructure to be able to maintain those new people. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. But that is going to conclude this episode of Inside Lines. If y'all enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content. What are your thoughts on this announcement? Tell me in the comment section down below. Do you like it? Do you not? What are your thoughts on NASCAR getting rid of Road America? Basically, they dumped Road America for Chicago. I already know majority of you are not going to like that move, but it sucks. And I just feel bad for the people of Wisconsin that showed up to support their track. After 2 years, it's gone. And I really do feel bad for it. I don't like that move, but it is what it is. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.